Okay, Jose Mariano, we are finally live. Sorry for the technical issues that we were experiencing there, and welcome. As you know, Metropolitan always likes to interview really cool and exciting people doing fascinating stuff, and I've been following Zero to Infinity for quite a while, and I was hoping if you could introduce yourself to the people here very briefly, and then we'll jump into some of the questions that I'd love to ask you.
Hi, Victor. I'm Jose Mariano Lopez Rubiales. I'm the CEO and founder of Zero to Infinity, our space engineer by training, and very happy to be with you and the audience here.
Okay, so tell me, what is Zero to Infinity for people who are not familiar with it yet?
Well, Zero to Infinity is a company that whose aim is to make it easier for folks and companies and others to do whatever they want to do up there in space. So we don't have a specific dream, okay, being something like okay, a city on Mars or in space mining or anything in particular. What we want is to make your dreams happen up there in space and make them feasible. And those could be anything.
So it could be space tourism, it could be some science that's conducted in zero gravity, for example.
Anything. The sky is no longer the limit, obviously, and we've had all sorts of requests for all sorts of partners, and we believe that every business is going to have a space strategy very soon.
So the sky is no longer the limit. I like that. Um, I'm gonna write this in here. No longer the limit. So where are you from?
So I was born in Granada, in the south of Spain, and the reason I was born there is because Granada has the tallest mountains in the Iberian Peninsula, and that's a great place to start an astronomy observatory and an institute to study the planets and astrophysics, and that's what my dad did. And I grew up in an environment of rockets, balloons, space missions, and all those sort of things, and that's what got me into this. So it's really a lifelong passion.
Now, why would Granada be a great place for such a thing?
Well, in Granada we have tall mountains, and the telescope sees much better space if it's almost outside or as far as possible from up high in the atmosphere. And just like a telescope sees a space very well from a high altitude location, a high altitude balloon, which is one of the things that we are proposing, can get you high enough to see space like really like an astronaut.
I see. So I went to climb the Mulaten. It's the highest
Yeah,
point in Spain, right? And
that's right.
so, okay, so you're from Granada, and what made you get involved in space? You had a very strong inclination because of your father's activities. What was your father doing?
So my father is an astronomer. He was studying planetary atmospheres. So first the atmosphere of this planet, and then the atmospheres of other planets. And what I always felt was that there was a huge potential in space, and the way we were doing things made sense for some militaries, for some large governments, for maybe some research activities like the ones that my dad was doing. But I always felt that there's much of humanity, you know.
Oh no,
So uh, are we here? All good?
we're here. Yes.
All right. So I've always felt that it shouldn't just be for people like my dad. It should be for anybody because people are creative. People have creative both in sense of art and sense of business ideas and all sorts of senses. And we want to make those possibilities possible because really it's not that hard. I mean, space is hard, but it's not that hard when done right.
Okay. And so, what is Zero to Infinity, or what sets Zero to Infinity apart from other companies who are promising to open up space, for the general public?
That it's a very common theme, as you rightly point out. Many companies claim to be opening that, but we, as I said in the beginning, we are focused on the customer. We're focused on whatever is your dream. Like, for example, take the most famous and incredible company right now, SpaceX. SpaceX dream is to make life multiplanetary. Okay, that and have a presence on Mars. That's very, very specific, and that's going to guide all their other actions. We don't have a specific goal like that except for making whatever you want to do work up there. And being outside of the US, for example, is allowing us to have customers from all around the world, and companies based in the US do have the advantage of easy access to federal, to the federal, to your tax dollars, you're American, to the federal budget. But that's great for them, but it's not necessarily great if they want to have a diverse customer base, because of course then the US government is gonna tell them who can be a customer and who cannot be a customer, and that's not the case for us. So we're truly international and truly open.
Okay. And so can you talk a little bit more about the balloon? Because there are different approaches, and I'd love for people to understand what it is that you see yourself doing.
Yeah, one of the most exciting opportunities is space tourism. I mean, who hasn't thought of going up there and seeing their own planet like this? The curved horizon, black sky. And we intend to do this using a fleet of capsules that fly up there under a big balloon. Why balloons? Because they are safe, they don't pollute, they are well understood, and very comfortable also, compared to rockets. Rocket ride, I mean, I know very few people that have been on rockets, and they're all heroes to me. But almost everybody I know has flown one or several times under a balloon. So it's the way to do it. It's actually how the first human beings described the Earth from space. Like the first people that say, "Oh wow, it's beautiful, it's blue, the sky is black, this is amazing," and how look the Earth is really round. They were not flying on planes. They were not flying on rocket planes or rocket ships or anything like that. They were all balloonists. And the reason why human high altitude balloons hasn't developed much is because it didn't have a military purpose. But we believe that we should go beyond just the old ways and open up markets and opportunities for everyone. And that's the low hanging fruit, if you will, of the space travel sector.
That I would imagine that would have a number of advantages. For example, so we're talking like say a hot air balloon that we've seen kind of people go out and for recreation, but this balloon is much larger.
This balloon can fit a stadium inside, and but it only gets large when it's up there. Okay, so
Okay.
when it's near the ground, it looks very empty and sort of limp, like a long string of plastic. And then as it goes up, it expands, and it can indeed have a large building inside. It can make sometimes even 120-meter diameter. And then the landing actually is done separately from the balloon. The balloon lands on its own, and the capsule with the people lands with large parafoil. All these bricks to build this structure and this system exist. There is no uncertainty in terms of developing. You don't have to develop a new engine or a new algorithm or anything like that. It's all there. It's been there actually, to be honest, for close to 100 years. Capabilities, but we need to. We're probably the first ones to propose how to put it together.
Okay. And when you are going, how many people can fit in a capsule?
Sure. The capsule that we have completed, well, it's almost completed, that we're building is just experimental. It will fit 2 people, but once we build a system for tourism, it will fit 2 pilots and 4 passengers. And they are all comfortably seated. Each has their own large panoramic windows just in front of their seat, so they don't miss anything. And there is a bathroom because it's a 6-hour flight.
Okay. Will there be some special training required for the people who would like to get a ride and see the edge of Earth and the edge of sky?
Yes, there will be some training. They will be. We want them to be with us a couple of days before the flight for safety training, to familiarize themselves with the craft and with the procedures. But it's not something very complex. It's not comparable to, say, the training that you need to fly on the Russian Soyuz or on SpaceX Dragon, which is a training that it's really like becoming an astronaut. That's months of training, and the training itself costs much more than our flight. So our training is reasonable and hopefully very fun and also part of the experience.
Okay. So what kind of, well, you just hit something that I was not really aware of, or I had not really considered. How much does it cost to do a training and or the flight with 0 to infinity?
So the reservations that we have at the moment are at 110,000 euro, and they're all inclusive, and that will include a couple of days before the flight itself, which is 6 hours. But the key part is the 2 hours that you spend at 36 kilometers altitude, and these 2 hours mean that you're going to have the time to really enjoy and remember the experience. To give you a comparison, the most people probably most of the listeners are familiar with Virgin Galactic, which is doing very interesting things. They recently flew their first tourist. They are already in the stock market and somehow ahead of us in terms of their development. But they fly to 80 kilometers and back, and the time that what I call the black sky time, the time where you actually get the astronaut experience of the view of the Earth, blue, etc., is just 4 minutes. So they're paying 450,000 for 4 minutes, when we're paying, making folks pay 110,000 for 2 hours. Without counting the fact that it's safer, more open, like any nationality can fly, not because we're not operating from the US. I think what we have is a very strong offering.
And where do you launch from?
Southern Spain, the startup port is already built. It's in the province of Jaén, and it's one of the areas of Spain with the least windy conditions. Balloons and wind don't go very well together, so we've chosen the place that is the farthest away from oil, how's it called? Wind energy installations. So we're really in an area and the view from up there, that is ideal, and the view from up there is incredible, because if you're in southern Spain, maybe people just hear Jaén and it doesn't mean anything, but you have to think of Jaén at 36 kilometers. What does that imply? That implies in Africa, the Atlantic, Portugal, Mediterranean, Strait of Gibraltar, Doñana National Park, the deserts of Almeria, the forests of Cazorla, and of course Sierra Nevada. So it's really like in a not having the whole world in a nutshell. When you're flying in this part of the world, is very very different. Let's say if you were flying from say Florida or New Mexico, we're just gonna see one or two types of landscape on the ground. That's it. Here you're seeing almost every kind of conceivable landscape of the Earth encapsulated with ideal weather conditions.
Okay. And so where do you see
Mhm.
yourself in about 5 years' time?
So in 5 years' time, I see the company trading in the stock market, highly valued by funds that take sustainability into account, which is something that we've done from day one. And we see ourselves having several bases. Probably there's very strong interest in the Middle East, in the GCC area. So we see not just a Spanish base, but a base over there somewhere, maybe in Saudi, maybe in UAE. Um, Possibly another one in Australia. We're flying scientists as well. We're not just flying tourists, but we're flying scientists from any nation. And we, in 5 years' time, the company is not called 0 to 36 kilometers. It's called 0 to infinity, and we do have a vision beyond. And we see ourselves launching satellites as well from our patented solution, using a balloon as a first stage or launching point. So that's a whole other business that we will be developing once we start flying humans.
Okay. Now, quick question. Why space tourism? Is it a limited market? We do. You mentioned Branson and Musk on a couple of occasions now. Why did you choose to do this?
Look, it's a very tiny market because it's not well served, because the solutions that are being proposed are extremely expensive and complex. But the demand is very universal. People want to go. They just don't want to have to learn Russian, or they don't have to fly on a very risky rocket, or get all those medical checks and all that. So the demand is universally very large. The solutions that are being proposed are almost pet projects by either nations or individuals. If you go back to the fundamentals and you say, okay, how do I build something that satisfies the demand? What you get is what we're doing. So it does make a lot of sense. And once we get a lot of highly influential people highly influential people around the world connected by their shared experience of seeing the planet with zero emissions from outside, we're going to do a very, very interesting set of things with this group of people, you know. And that is not something that you can get with normal businesses. It's going to be a bonding opportunity. It's going to be an opportunity that is beyond the dreams of most. One of the most incredible things they can do with their money, and that we believe that that's going to increase the awareness of planetary matters. I mean, we will have, or most influentials, if you will, more aware of what happens on the planet and why it's important to take care of it, because there is nothing like seeing something with your own eyes. I mean, you can read about a topic, you can going there, seeing things. It's really how what transforms us and what makes us learn. So I believe there's this is just the right step for humanity. I mean, look, the other day I saw a tweet from Musk, and he was complaining that it's ridiculous how few people, how it's so unknown what he's doing with his space rocket Starship. And that's normal, because for most folks, space is not part of their lives. They didn't grow up with an astronomer father. They just grew up with any other kind of activity, and we have to change that, because we are really in space. I mean, the Earth is really round. It's not flat. You know, it's not on top of a turtle, and the things that happen outside really affect us, and we need to take that into account. Um, so yeah, we need to become more planetary aware, and the way to do it is making it fun, making it enjoyable, and making people fly and making them pay for it, so that the taxpayer doesn't have to foot the bill. Because if we are gonna fly lots and lots and lots of astronauts and have everything just paid for by the taxpayers, we are never gonna get there. We need to find a better way.
Okay, it's great to hear Spain is pushing the envelope here and making I guess an early mover, if you will. But one of the questions that I have gotten in the past is whether or not a company like Zero to Infinity should be in the U.S. to be successful. So
Yeah.
does it need to be in the U.S. to be successful?
You need to have some sort of presence in the US. We do have a subsidiary in Houston, Texas, but I believe there's misunderstanding in general. Most people think that because they are just pattern recognition, there's pattern recognition going on, and they see, oh, all the successful companies are in the US. Well, maybe you have to be there. Well, not really. There are advantages of being outside, and there are great advantages of being in Spain if what you're doing is related to space tourism. First, high net worth individuals already come to Spain a lot from all around the world, from the Arab world, from Northern Europe, from Latin America. They may have family ties, everywhere. They all want to come, maybe to watch football, maybe to eat, maybe to visit, historical heritage, to go to museums, whatever. So Spain is really good in that sense, and also our costs are much lower. The US is increasingly litigious. We just saw a former president indict. How many times this is insane and unbelievable. So you don't want to be in a place that is so litigious, I think, for this kind of activity that is pioneering. So I believe there are great opportunities outside the US. Not saying Spain is the only one. I mean, you could, but Spain just happens to be a place with perfect weather, perfect legal framework for this kind of thing, well established, and also that has the customers coming anyway. So when you combine these things, it's a very strong offering, and also the costs are very reasonable compared to the US or other places that could be fine, like let's say Sweden or Switzerland or the UK. But no, Spain, yeah, you don't have to be there, but you have to have a presence. You have to take it into account in your strategy.
Okay, and do you partner with, or do you have projects with ESA, the European Space Agency, or other organizations that might be related to space or just future travel?
Yes, yes. ESA was my first employer, and before I founded the company, and we and yeah, I have an excellent relationship with ESA. We were part of the micro launcher project, so they were especially interested in the opportunities to launch satellites from high altitude balloons. So there's a web page of ESA. If you Google Blue Star, Bloostar, like blue is spelled just with two O's and then star. Blue Star European Space Agency. You'll see our launcher featured on their website. As they're a customer, okay? Let's put it that way. They are not leading, they are not driving the bus. We are driving the bus for the future, but we are seeing them as a customer, just like NASA JPL has been a customer, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, and other space agencies around the world, from Algeria to Singapore.
Excellent. And so how can people learn more about Zero to Infinity, about what you're doing, your upcoming projects?
They can go on our Twitter feed. That's where should I say, x.com now, and or they can reach out to me, and we can have a coffee over either in reality or over Zoom. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, I'm widely available and eager to explore collaboration opportunities of any kind.
Okay. Excellent. Any last words? Are you looking for investors? Have you received some funding? What else can you say?
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to get in the space sector. There's still a lot of growth. We're not yet at the tip of the bubble, if you will, and we have received about €6 million of investment. We need more investment to actually make all this a reality. And it's a good time to get involved right now. So yes, we are open for investment, and they can reach out and we can talk.
Okay, so there you have it. CEO of Zero to Infinity, Jose Mariano. You are trying to make space available and more usable to the public as well as to academia. And we love having people that are really pushing the envelope and making sky no longer the limit with Zero to Infinity. So anything else you'd like to share, or I think this is good for now?
Just a few words to congratulate our Spanish national football or soccer team. They've been incredible, and Spain can be good in football, but it also can be good in space and reach for the stars. Both kinds, this kind and the ones up there.
Yeah, it was an amazing game, and almost felt bad for England, but Spain controlled the game, so I think it was a just finish. But at any rate, yes. Congratulations to the Spanish female team. And
right.
Without any further ado, I'll just let you go about your day and to continue helping people get out to space. So thanks a lot, Jose Mariano.
Thank you, Victor. Keep in touch.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Take care.